it has an end cut off. It's 100% consistent with a microbial organism, a microbe. It looks exactly like a microbe. They're organisms. They're life forms that are being documented by the Navy and what I'm getting on a nightly basis, organisms.
I wonder if there could be an intelligent being inside these organism crafts.
No, I gotta discount that because I got a sample from the UK and it showed a Tic Tac the size of a little bit bigger than like a 50-gallon trash can. You know how big a trash can is when you go to trash cans in your yard.
Yeah.
It was about the size of a trash can lid, and it flew by on camera. So that means it is relatively small. There's no fucking man going to fit inside an organism that big. Impossible.
That's true.
So we've got the proof. Dude.
If these things have a high degree of intelligence, it is possible also that they originate from space as well as potentially from Earth. I know you and I were talking privately that, potentially they could also come from the melting ice caps.
Well, no. We're talking now. This is ocean life forms that are being reanimated from being frozen for millions of years from the ice caps. But these things in space could have been brought here by a comet, could have been brought here in many different ways. But whatever they are, they're consistent with microbes. I mean, a microbe. So I had a problem with everyone being adamant about these being man-made because I can't match them. There's no uniform consistency. Man makes uniform objects. Everything man makes is uniform and the same. Right. An aircraft, for example, has a uniform shape, while these objects, some of them are bent, some of them are shaped like hot dogs, some of them are perfectly uniform like a Tic Tac, some of them are elongated, some of them are absolute spheres, some of them are even squares, but they're not man-made. And then the other side of the coin is the samples I have are materializing into the airspace. When did we get technology that materializes into our airspace? Doesn't happen. They're trying to say, oh, no, we got cloaking technology now, but wait a minute. I've been getting these things for years. It is definitely not something man-made.
Maybe they're from another dimension coming in from their realm into here?
There's that possibility where they are indeed in another realm, because the fact of the matter is in the samples that I have them materializing into the airspace, they materialize incrementally, meaning they're translucent and then they start solidifying, and at one point or another they become solid objects and continually fly through the frame. That is no technology we have. It's too coincidental that, one of the things that really kind of opened my eyes was looking at the samples of the microbes and the way that they undulated in the sample and the way they move in the samples of microbes. And then I look at my Tic Tacs and they're moving the same way, except they're substantially bigger and they're in space.
That's amazing. And with a high degree of intelligence on top of it, that's even more concerning.
Aliens, and it would the thing that was the real clincher for me was when the Navy pulled their material citing national security issues, and the national security issues is the fact that what they documented during the Nimitz encounter were indeed organisms.
Have you sent any of these images and all your thoughts and questions to them? Would be
they're in denial. First of all, the samples that I have and the samples that are being presented by the United States military are completely different, because the technology that I utilize and the technology the U.S. military utilizes is not the same. One of the things that's interesting, you and I or anyone else can have the potential to actually have technology that exceeds National Aeronautics and Space Administration. There's people like the company SpaceX and all these other people who are launching spacecraft they're far more advanced than NASA. So to have a technology that's capable of doing something and seeing things, especially like an extraterrestrial organism, is not necessarily something that would be specifically NASA.
Right.
You have the expertise or the means in which to create that technology, you can do so. And there's no way that they can say that based on the technology that I'm utilizing and based on my samples, which I have a plethora of data, that these are byproducts or inconsistencies associated to the cameras that I'm using, which people tried to say. They were saying in Canada that the streaks of light that I'm getting are a byproduct of the camera. When do cameras start manufacturing light? None of it makes any sense. And then they were telling me that specifically that the Tic Tacs were a product of man and that they were originated from Area 51, while the samples I got in Area 51 are not like the Tic Tacs I'm getting now. Nothing makes any sense. And I've been to Area 51 and I documented the objects that they have there. I know what's real. So you're not going to sit there and blow some smoke up my ass and try to tell me that you've got people that confirm that, oh, they're man-made. Shit, where's your evidence? Because somebody says something doesn't mean it's true.
Hey, you know, it's kind of funny thinking about that, how maybe the subsurface illegals of Mars, they were like, they want to show the Earth if there's life there on Mars, they know what we're looking for.
They know it's there, Gary. Come on, for the fact that all the samples that they're showing, which looks like ruins, none of those things are organic, are inorganic. They were made by some entity, some beings.
What I'm saying is that think about it like this. What if it would be funny? I'm not saying this is how it is. Wouldn't it be funny if the subsurface illegals know what's going on here on this planet? They're talking about microbial life and shit, and here they're sending their advanced whatever in the shapes of.
Dude, wait a minute. Did you hear about what they encountered in Antarctica? There were some divers in Antarctica, and they said they saw what appeared to be an octopus. And then all of a sudden, the octopus morphed. It morphed into a diver. It looked like one of them.
Wow. That's incredible. Oh, wow.
And then now NASA's saying if there's life on Mars, it's going to be on that ice moon that they've got, and there's water underneath that. And they said the life form is probably going to be octopus, like octopus.
Yeah. Yeah, that just came out a couple of weeks ago, right? On the ice.
Now, all of a sudden, now, how is that possible? Is it because those Martian octopus are in the Arctic Circle and Antarctica underwater? And the aliens are there? That's what they are? Aliens?
Well, if these things were their technology or their life tech, as it was, sending here, hey, you know, that could have been, wow, that's very implicating.
Yeah, Gary, all the shit they're talking about Mars, nothing that they say is truthful. Nothing.
Right, the planet Mars we now know is not the planet Mars they now know.
Exactly. And then there are samples that they're completely overlooking. Like I got a sample taken from space that looks like looks like a disc crashed into the surface, and then there's another structure like a dome connected to it. How is that something organic from Mars? It's not. They're there. Aliens crash landed on Mars.
Yes, and I still say subsurface illegals would still be there, obviously, like they're here on Earth and elsewhere. The bigger picture.
Yep. There we go. We're being so misled down the wrong path. They don't want people to believe any of this shit is real, and yet they're sitting putting out Star Wars trilogy, and all these Alien movies and Predator movies. Why are they doing that?
Right, acclamation.
They're not trying to signal something that's coming or something that's already here.
It would still be kind of funny, Wilbur, if you were to send the military with questions. Hey, would you be willing to care to just shits and giggles see what they reply back?
You're not. You know, one of the things that's interesting, they want to put themselves in a position that they got one up on you. And what's interesting is I looked at the technology that was available to the market, and I looked at Hubble, and I took Hubble and took it apart and made something completely different. I made Hubble Frankenstein, in their opinion. And look at the samples that I'm getting. So NASA's not on this page, the Air Force is not on this page, the Navy definitely is not on this page, because my technology is 4K, FLIR is 480p, that's utilized on the aircraft currently in the United States military. So it's completely different. And I'm showing extreme color samples in infrared. So unless they have something similar to that, don't put yourself in a position that you got one up on me when you really don't.
Right.
Even more, I'm U.S. military trained in my technology, and they're sitting there trashing my shit. The military trashes my shit. Military. What kind of crap is that? Well, good luck, because what I created it comes from here, and unless you have the knowledge in order to operate the technology that I have, my device is a manual operation. It's not like some automation shit. They got set it up and a computer does all this, that, and the other. Technically speaking, I am the device. I'm the only reason why the thing works as it does, because I manually control it. Well, no, there's Gary, come on, there's one of all the samples that they're showing. Wait, what I gotta say is this. All of a sudden, the text appeared in 2004, and Halley's Comet flew by, 1986, 1989, somewhere in there. There's a very strong possibility that whatever these objects and entities were seeded here by Halley's Comet, because Halley's Comet did fly by closely, and I do recall over at Bowling Air Force Base looking up and seeing Halley's Comet fly by during the day. So wait.
So you're saying those that committed suicide are right all along? Hey, kill yourselves and let's
There's a very strong possibility that those organisms that are in our atmosphere were brought here through Halley's Comet. And they know that. That's why it became an issue of national security, because they have no way to control a biological organism in our airspace. And these things can appear and disappear at will.
Or in space.
Yeah, think about that. Now, there's the issues. They've lost control, so they don't want it to seem as if they no longer have a foothold on this particular issue.
Right. That is remarkable. So, but like you've been saying, you've been filming a lot of these features, these Tic Tacs features, and everything.
2 nights ago, I got the same shit. I'm getting them every night. But what's interesting is even though I get them every night, I can't match any of them. What flies by is not the same.
If they were standard human made, they would all be consistent in shape.
You could take one of those from 2 weeks ago and match it with something from this morning. I can't do that with any of my 1,700 samples. I can't match them.
Wow, it's like...
I tried. I can't match them.
Space is a big petri dish.
Dig it. That's exactly what it is. And we're looking at what should be microbial organisms, except, there's a saying, as above, so below, and as below, so above. We're looking at the same shit, except bigger. And those organisms are in our airspace. Organisms. Not spacecraft. Organisms.
Obviously the spheres, the ionosphere and all the different various atmospheres, does not detract from their ability to come to and fro.
What was interesting in D.C. while I was there, I also documented my friend Jose Escamila's rods. And on one event where I documented rods, and it was 23 degrees, and it was massively wind blowing, like hurricane gale type wind, these rods were not affected by the weather. They flew through it like it was nothing.
Wow.
Organisms.
That would be interesting. I wonder if that's what the Chinese and Russians, and obviously subtly disclosing, telling us our American forces have engaged and have been killed over.
Well, what's interesting, during Mir Space Station, before Mir Space Station crashed up and burned into our atmosphere, they discovered that spacecraft were entering into our realm through the North Pole and exiting our realm through the South Pole.
Hey, man, Dr. Brooks Agnew hopefully is going to be keeping another looking up as well.
Yep.
Because he's going up.
Everything that they said was hypothetical. Everything they said was hypothetical is a reality.
Right. That means, wow, anything we could think of in essence then.
SETI, first of all, I have a problem with SETI. SETI has been sitting there listening for extraterrestrials, and I'm sitting here looking for them, and I've got them. Why don't they have them if they're listening?
Right.
Yes.
I want to test.
No, they're trying to
test that.
interpreting data, but you know, I mean, you're searching for extraterrestrial life with your fucking ears.
I want to test that. If there's sound in space, I want them to bring up a fucking bar of dynamite, shoot it off of a ship, 50 yards, whatever. Boom! I want to hear the boom.
Look,
I want to hear.
I found a file. It was in Spanish, and after I used a language interpreter, you know, which translates whatever language to English, the shit said that the sounds that they recorded on this particular recording were recorded by the Hubble telescope.
Huh. So that means it's recording sound too, not just imagery.
Well, here's the thing with their imagery. Here's the thing with their imagery. That's a real catch. You know, Hubble technology in space is a 16-bit digital camera. Its sensitivity at max is ISO 1600. I don't know if you guys were into film back in the day. You could go to a drugstore and you could buy 400 ASA film and 800 ASA film and 1600 ASA film.
Right.
This telescope is operating at 1600 ASA in space. And for them to take a picture of a galaxy, for example, the pictures can take as long as 20 to 30 days for one sample, because that telescope can position itself and stay locked on a target for an indefinite period of time. So they can do what it's called an extended exposure. So the Hubble samples that they're presenting to the people are technically the results of a duration exposure. They're not really showing you the space that's out there. It's enhanced. It's like Photoshop.
You know, it'd be interesting. I wonder if invisible sound waves, like Predator, if we had the right Predator button to shift between different phases, if we could see sound, not just hear it, but see it.
It would have to be, you know, sound waves permeate through the atmosphere and through our environment.
But
that would have to be possibly done in infrared at an extreme level, because all energy has a signature.
That's what I was trying to say. There's got to be some type of spectrum or something that can capture the invisibility of waves, or even frequency. Anything, well, you know.
I think without a doubt that whatever these objects are, they are transcending sound, because it has the ability to materialize and dematerialize in the airspace. And when they dematerialize, keep in mind, my camera's tracking them. Once they're gone, there's no signature associated to them at all. They're gone.
And no sonic booms.
Nothing. Absolute silence. Absolute silence.
That's incredible.
In fact, I'm more inclined to believe that what I'm getting could possibly be invisible to humans, because I'm using infrared technology, and humans can't see in infrared. So there's a very strong possibility that what I'm documenting could completely be invisible to us.
Indeed. I would love telescopes with infrared and other type of filters or whatever, just again like Predator, to see what could be seen and what can't.
Well, from what I see, everything is appearing in a specific range that I'm using in terms of filtration. And what makes this even more interesting is there is no data associated to the research that I have, because no one is doing it. I'm completely the first person on Earth to have it.
That's sweet. That's going to be some video and book.
Well, yeah, that's one of the things I think that is a marketing thing associated to doing this. You know, there's so many people out here talking about their UFO researchers, and not one of them has a shred of evidence. That's because they're not approaching their research correctly. If you're going to look for UFOs, you need technology that's capable of doing so. That's not going to come from an app on an iPhone, and that's what they're trying to push. That's some bullshit, absolute bullshit.
Right.
They're like, it's a scam, basically. There is no technology you can download free from the web store for your phone to make it a technology tool for the analysis of UFOs. That shit doesn't exist. It's a game. They always tell you, you know, when you download these things for entertainment purposes. Why are you taking this for real? It's not a real analysis tool. It's some bullshit.
That is interesting. Now, I wonder if any of these things have come close, because there's no reason why they can't come close to the surface.
Well, they did. The sample I got that was taken in England shows this Tic Tac the size maybe like of a big loaf of bread. It was like maybe 36, 40 inches, but it was a uniform Tic Tac. And it flew over a trash can. It was caught by a house security camera. And it is not big enough for any human to get inside it. It could possibly be big enough for a mouse or something small, a small organism, but no humans can get inside that thing. Impossible. But then there are some that are even bigger. So that what makes this truly unique is again, of the 1,700 samples that I have, not one of them is a match. They're all different in size, shape, everything.
That's amazing. You should be at a conference presenting all of that stuff.
No, I make people who do those conferences, especially the bullshit artists who have nothing to support any of their claims. It makes them look bad.
You have a right to have a presentation room and have people.
Well, I know that.
If they don't like it, they could go into another room.
We're talking about all of these other so-called experts for bullshit artists who have no shred of evidence, but yet people believe the crap that they're saying. And I'm overshadowing them with actual data. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for them. So quite naturally, what's interesting is I did Uncovering Aliens. Everybody on Uncovering Aliens that I worked with got into conferences but me, and Uncovering Aliens was built on my work, not those people, but they're the ones getting the jobs.
Right.
Well, it's not that they're frauds. It's how the way they do things. There's only certain people they want out there with the truth. Corey Good, David Whitlock, all of these other people, they're out there. But what do they present? That's of substantial evidence. Nothing.
A lot of yarns, a lot of words.
Tickling the ears. You keep in mind, hey, everybody's like Romper Room. They want to sit there and listen to Storyland. They love a good story. But the minute you show them actual evidence, they're spooked. I did a UFO conference with Dr. UFO Pat Marcatilio, and I presented my data. Do you know when I finished, the whole room was absolutely silent? They didn't know what to say. They were like in shock.
Right.
But everybody else got a standing ovation for Storyland bullshit, but I presented actual evidence, and it spooked them.
Huh. Well, that's what it means. That's why the more, if you were to do that, the hell what they think, the more the people see that, the more people will start, at some point, will start asking questions and want to know more.
Well, we're dealing with people, you look at the Democrats, they're a bunch of bullshit artists. They'll conceal evidence, and they'll make it seem more like, it's something that they've done. And, like I'm saying, how they're saying, oh, the Tic Tacs you get are man-made. Bullshit. Prove it. Right. Show me that they're made in Area 51. They can't. There's nothing that they could prove coming out of Area 51 is man-made, because they don't show shit coming out of Area 51. So why are you going to use Area 51 as an example and tell me, oh, FBI and CIA agents are telling me that these things are manufactured in Area 51? Well, what proof do they have? They didn't show shit. You're going to believe me? I'm going to sit there and tell you, oh, hey, look, they're made in New Jersey, and you're going to believe me?
Huh.
That's my point. They can't answer that, because then we're talking about things that are completely top secret, shit that doesn't even exist. When I did the interview in Canada, that was one of the things that disturbed me, when the guy said to me he had a CIA agent and an FBI agent tell him that these things were made in Area 51. Well, what proof did they present? I'm not going to sit there and have you tell me something. You have no evidence, and I'm sitting here showing you a plethora of data that's completely contrary to what you're telling me, and you can sit there and tell me that these are man-made?
Or it's not the same
kind. My data says it's not.
And obviously it's not the same kind. With Area 51 is tech, this is life tech.
Wait a minute, Gary, I went to Area 51, and I filmed, which I wasn't supposed to, but I filmed the airspace in Area 51, and I got UFOs. They were absolutely abstract.
Right. There's no comparison.
And they communicated with me telepathically. Tell me what man has technology that's capable of communicating with you specifically telepathically. And don't give me that remote viewer bullshit, because no one has that to be valid either.
Right, and if it was, it wouldn't be that advanced, that's for sure.
That's for sure. Think about it. I've got samples in Area 51 that showed this. It was a series of Tic Tacs connected, and these things were slithering like a snake at warp speed. Slithering. No human can fly anything like that.
Right.
Organism.
Right.
So, it's different when you have evidence, and it's different when you have experience associated to it. I went to Area 51. I spent a week in Area 51, and my data says aliens. Not a base, not some man-made shit. Right. Aliens.
That's very thought-provoking.
Think about that. Then we're talking about technology that exceeds us.
And
that technology
or some type of biological technology that's so far beyond our own, that's maybe even, again, coming from some other dimension, infiltrating our realm and world.
We don't know where they're coming from.
Right.
What we do know is that they're here. See, there's a difference. I deal with the realities of now, and the realities of now say to me that they're all unique, and that uniqueness is specific to an organism, a life form.
Huh. That's got to be very important somehow. Very important, maybe on how to achieve those type things in interdimensional